Welcome back to another podcast.
What's the name of this one?
It's called After the Wreckage. And we're going to talk about something that you voted for, which is a big topic that not a lot of people want to talk about. I did a post on Facebook and it stirred a lot of trouble, a lot of anger.
As do all of your posts.
Yeah, a lot of anger. And it stirred a lot of, I think it opened a lot of people's eyes to actually, that's my trigger. Because I put 10 triggers that you went through, that I felt that you went through. And we talked about it before I did the post.
I was going to say, you didn't speak on my behalf. We'd had a conversation about it prior.
I think because of the work we've done in the past, I remembered what we'd done and the work we spoke about. And so I thought it was really a good post to put out there so people felt heard and listened to.
Yeah.
And so the biggest topic that comes out from this is how to overcome triggers.
Right.
And if you're going through infidelity, if you're going through trying to overcome, rebuild, repair your relationship from infidelity and having an affair, then triggers is a massive subject.
Yeah, and there's no real end point to it in the sense that you're ever really going to completely be able to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. There's definitely ways that you can cope with them, and they do definitely subside over time. Yeah. That's one thing I will say.
When we talk about triggers, a lot of people will go, why would you want to rebuild and repair if you're going to get triggered all the time? Mm-hmm. And that's a very good question, isn't it? Why would you want to rebuild and repair knowing full well that you're going to get triggered in bed when you're having sex about him being with someone else, or triggered by going to a hotel room and it brings back memories of when you found a text about him being in a hotel room.
Yeah.
So number one, I get it if you're on this journey or you've come across this and you're like, I don't believe anything they say. I think it's all a load of rubbish because I wouldn't want to live like that. And that's cool.
To each his own.
That's your opinion.
Yeah.
For those of you that are continuing to watch this podcast and wondering how we're going to talk about and what we're going to talk about, this is what we're talking about.
We're here for you.
We're here for you.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about how to overcome triggers. Now, let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because we talk about short, medium, and long term, don't we, in our healing process. And the short term is the triggers are raw, aren't they?
In the interim period, it's very difficult, and you've definitely got to have some kind of outlet. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is you've got to have some way of offloading these triggers as and when they arise.
Yeah.
Be that in a personal way, journaling, writing things down, writing them in your phone, for example, on your notes. Voice notes for me were a godsend.
Yeah.
I used to voice note my couple of close friends on a daily, I would say. Mm-hmm. Even in the rebuild phase of when I would be triggered about certain things, it's just good to offload. Yeah.
And so when we talk about short, medium, long term, there's short term fixes, tools that the man can do to help the woman overcome triggers. There's a medium part of the healing process, rebuild and repair process, and there's the long-term part of the process. So the short term is everything because of the anger, because of the trauma, because of the pain.
It's an open wound.
It's an open wound. It's really important that when we start focusing on triggers, that we don't just focus on how the woman overcomes it. Okay? Because it's very easy to think about, well, the woman's got the pain, she's got the triggers, so she has to overcome that. The reality is, it's a joint effort. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. And this is where we talk about that if the perpetrator, the person that's caused the infidelity and the affair, hasn't taken ownership and isn't willing to do the work, all the triggers you have, he can't help because he's in denial. Okay? And while the man is in victim mode, denial mode, while you're going through the triggers, he can't help you, he can't make you feel seen and make you feel safe. So it's really important that you start to understand that when we start looking about how to overcome triggers, the number one thing is your partner who's caused the pain and trigger has to be on board in owning that.
I suppose an analogy would be if you're in quicksand and the trigger's taking you down like the quicksand. Yeah. You've got more likelihood of succeeding and surviving if you've got somebody there helping you to get out of it than you are just standing in it, sinking.
There's a meme. You just remind me. There's a meme that as a 1980s, 1990s kid, every film had quicksanding.
Okay.
And so you thought when you grew up, life was just all about, there's going to be quicksand everywhere.
Well, depends what way you want to look at it. I suppose you could
there's
make it into an
but you thought quicksand was a real thing because it was always in films. In reality, it's nowhere. It's nowhere.
It's not in the UK.
It's not in the UK. But anyway, it just reminded me of that. But it is very true. It's a good analogy that quicksand pulling you down and your partner. And again, when we start talking about the work that the partner needs to do, it's not about rescuing you.
Because you're not going to fix the trigger.
No.
That's an important point as well. As the man who has caused the infidelity, it's happened. Yes, it's in the past. Hopefully, you're doing everything you can to rebuild and not repeating those same behaviours. But that still doesn't erase the trigger. It still doesn't erase or get rid of the memory, the thing that's painful, the trigger that reminds the woman or the wife of what you've done. You're never going to fix it.
No. And so you
can help her through it.
Yeah, you can help her through it. So it's really important because the initial stage of finding out, you don't probably want him anywhere near you. Okay, you're angry with him, you're hurt, you don't want him to touch you, you don't want him to. But once that, and I use this word and this term lightly, once that starts to de-escalate to a point where you're having conversations, you're having comfortable times together. Once you start seeing him he's sorry, he takes ownership, he starts to do, which is what we talk about in our SOS bootcamp. When he starts to do that, you realise actually he's not here to rescue you. He's here to help you feel seen, help you to support you, feel secure and feel safe. And that can only happen when he starts to do the work himself.
Yeah.
Okay, we talk about when a man starts to do the work in overcoming and rebuilding, repairing, he has to become a new man. He has to let go of that old man that he was, that weak, lying, deceitful man that looked and seeked for validation and step into a new role of becoming a new leader, which is what you fall in love with. But triggers can't actually start to get better until he starts taking ownership.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel you're in really good thought here, aren't you? What are you thinking?
I was just thinking back actually for like this last week, because this week I would say is when I've really seen the comments go left.
Yeah.
In terms of judgment, in terms of negativity. We've had a lot of positive comments and we welcome and thank you for those. But this week particularly, I think some of your posts have really triggered some people into giving not so helpful, perhaps spiteful,
angry
nasty
replies,
comments. And what I would say about being triggered because of those, because let's look at the situation. You're the victim of infidelity. You're going to have triggers left, right and centre for different reasons. And one of those may be other people's opinions about your decision. And
we've come across that massively with people, haven't we? We've done work with.
Now, again, you are in control of how you react to these triggers. So you're never going to stop them. You can't stop other people having their opinion. And again, we publicise and we've been very open and raw about our situation. So naturally that will invite opinion and that's fine. But you're never going to get rid of the trigger, but you absolutely can control how you react to it. And I think for me personally, I've seen the comments that have gone very left this week. I wouldn't say I've personally felt triggered, but I'm saying for anybody else who has or does feel triggered by other people's opinions about you wanting to rebuild, you have to be very selective in who you give your time to and who you surround yourself with. So in terms of how do I get over triggers in terms of people's opinions, because sometimes triggers aren't necessarily actions or things that are happening around you. It can be people coming at you, questioning you. Why do you want to do that? Why would you want to rebuild with this person? Why would you want to do that when he did this to you? And all this negativity that comes with other people's opinions. You absolutely have a right to take yourself out of that environment. And that could be somebody as close to you as a very close family member. It could be a friend, it could be a colleague that initially you thought you had a good relationship with. And I'm not saying that you don't. However, sometimes people will like to offload their opinion when it's not welcome, asked for, needed, necessary.
One of the biggest things that I remember you kept saying when we were rebuilding was misery loves company. And then a client said it the other day that she was talking about her friendship group and how she found it really hard to mention anything about her partner because they were judgmental from the beginning of getting back together.
You'd be surprised how many people will be for you and rooting for you when your life is on the decline and going rubbish and things aren't going well and your partner's doing this and your life's in turmoil. You'll be surprised how many people will be all for you during that situation. But when things take a turn and things start to be on the up and things start to get more positive and work out, not so interested then. And what I would say about those people is they're not your people.
Yeah, so triggers is a massive arena, and so the short term is I'd find a very close network of people around you that can support you, that you can offload to in a safe way.
Not yes people. So don't get us confused with we're saying you only have to surround yourself with yes people.
No, people that are for you.
You have to have people around you that are going to hold you accountable, of course. But when you are trying to rebuild your marriage, which is hard enough anyway, you don't need other people chiming in, pulling you down.
And so it's really important that you start surrounding yourself with people that are
supportive of your marriage,
supportive of your decision, and also are willing to listen, not have an opinion, but willing to listen. Now, when it comes to triggers, okay, they come in all shapes and sizes. They come in all environments. A lot of people have said, how do you learn to sleep together again? Because whenever I think of him with her,
that tends to come up quite a lot in our weekly Q&A, doesn't it?
So how do you overcome that trigger? Another trigger is like, I know they've been in the car, so I don't want to go in that car. I know they've been in the rental property or whatever, so I don't ever want to go there. So there's lots of connections that people get triggered by because they're connecting an environment or situation to the AP, the affair partner, and your partner. What would you say is the best way in order for when a trigger does happen?
I think the biggest thing you've got to give yourself is time. I don't think getting rid of every single thing that the AP may have ever looked at, touched, been near is feasible, practical,
I don't think it's healthy.
Generally helpful. Because let's be honest, the biggest thing that she touched and was near was your husband. And if you're choosing to rebuild, you're obviously not wanting to get rid of him, because that would be the worst thing that you could do. You need to be becoming closer, not pushing each other away. So I don't think it's practical, feasible, or wise to think I'm going to try and absolutely exclude and get rid of every single thing that ever associated with that person. However, trust me when I say, because I'm on the other side of this, time does heal. And when things are raw, it feels very heightened and things feel a lot bigger deal than they actually are. So please be patient with yourself when you're feeling like you just can't get in the car because she sat in the car, or you just can't go to that restaurant because she went to that restaurant. You will absolutely crucify yourself if you allow yourself to have these thoughts on a daily. And time really is the best healer.
Can I talk? Okay. What I was going to say is, I think alongside time, from a man's point of view, because this is why we do this, because we want to focus on the man's side as well, is that alongside time is the man has to be consistent in becoming the new version of himself. Now, what does that look like? Because majority of the time, when we talk to clients, it's like every time I bring it up, he doesn't want to know. Every time I bring it up, he becomes defensive. He's saying the right things, I'm sorry. He's saying the right things, I want to rebuild. He's doing and saying, and even might be doing some of the things right, like he's letting his phone be transparent. He's letting me know where I go and all these things. But the biggest one, I think, in men helping women overcome triggers is realising when it happens. I know when you were triggered. I know when when you used to wake up triggered. I remember the times where I used to say to you, I'm not going to go out because I know you're triggered, so I'm going to stay in and help you feel seen, safe and secure. And I didn't say I'm going to help you feel seen, but I just knew.
I think you just did it without words, really.
And that's
you just said, I'm not going to go yet, or I'm not going to go out. And I think knew why you were doing it and appreciated it, and it didn't need a conversation.
No. And so it's really important, if you're a wife victim of infidelity, it's really important that you start having conversations with your partner. The reason why I say, and if you're a person that's caused the infidelity and had the affair, it's really important that you hear this. You start to recognise when your wife is having triggers. You abandoned her when you had the affair. She doesn't want to feel abandoned again. And if you're not allowing her to come to you and share that she's having triggers, or you're coming defensive because it hurts your little heart because you don't want to remember what you did before, and all the things that you say, oh, I don't want to talk about it because I feel guilty and I'm shameful, and start crying, it's abandoning your wife. And she can't feel safe and secure, so she has to keep it resentful and locked in.
The likelihood is that you know each other well enough. Perhaps your relationship has been on a decline for a long time, but you would know each other well enough to know when your partner's being off.
Yeah.
Should we call it that?
Yeah.
And sometimes as women we retreat.
Yeah.
And we don't want to speak, or we go quiet. Sometimes it can be the opposite and we get angry and aggressive. You would know your partner, hopefully, if you're trying to rebuild your marriage or your relationship, well enough to know which kind of avenue does she go when she's feeling hurt and pain.
Yeah.
Some women retreat and go quiet, others it might be anger and frustration. But take note of that.
Yeah.
Take note of it and don't just let her sit in it.
No. It's really important, men, that you hear this, okay?
Because you could have a tendency to, and a lot of men do, they back off and they say, I'm just giving her the space. I'm giving her the space she needs.
Bomb.
You've given her enough space.
It's a bomb.
You ran off and gave her your space.
It's a bomb ready to erupt. And then you wonder why she's having a go at you and she's gone from 0 to 100.
Even if she's telling you, I don't want to be near you.
And this is a big thing when we're talking to men.
I'm not saying for you to glue yourself to her, but she needs to know you're in the vicinity.
She's told me she needs space. Yeah. She's telling you because she's being defensive. She doesn't want to get hurt again. Yeah. So while she's having a trigger, she's not saying, I want to have space. What she's actually saying is, can you help me? Because I'm lost. I'm becoming defensive.
And actually, she's had to rescue herself enough
Many
times.
So
by pushing you away and saying, I don't want you near me, or you need to give me some space, is actually a default action of what she's had to do. Kind of what the situation has led her to at this point anyway.
And so when we start when you start working with us and you come on a calls with us and 2 or 3 calls in, when we start looking at the medium phase, we start looking at how the man needs to become the leader. Okay, how the man leads at home. He makes his wife feel seen. When triggers happen, he recognises it. He's being transparent, saying to her, I know I can see having a trigger. I can see you're feeling a bit emotional. I'm going to stay and hold with you and be with you and talk to you.
Can I just say another one that I need to add in before I forget, because we go off a bit on a tangent with these podcasts and then we end up forgetting really vital things that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Don't belittle the trigger. Don't belittle the trigger.
I've just done the casual thing of, like it's an ick, disgusting. Do you know what I mean?
We've had a lot of men on our calls recently who seem to think that the little seemingly insignificant things that they don't think are a big deal or shouldn't be a big deal anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to get my words out.
Spit 'em out.
Don't belittle the trigger is what I'm trying to say.
It's key that you understand these guys.
Yeah. Because however insignificant it is to you, and you think it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 2 months ago, however long it was, it doesn't matter. If it matters to your wife and she's hurt by it and it's painful, it doesn't matter how silly or insignificant it is to you.
I think the words that are triggering the most is, haven't you moved on yet? Can't you get over it?
We're still going on
about it. I've told you already. And all the words that, guys, you know you've said them, because I said them to begin with.
Let's not go back there.
Yeah, let's not go back there. We're moving forward.
Here's the classic. Don't make us bad. Don't make us move backwards.
We were going good.
Yeah, don't ruin it.
Don't ruin it. And the worst factor is...
And that's manipulative.
Yeah, the worst factor is it was only good. It was only going good because your wife didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And if you're in that situation where your wife can't say anything to make it go good, you haven't taken ownership. Okay? And so what tends to happen is she'll build resentment up. You'll see the resentment, not knowing what it is when really you do. And then it's a big pattern and cycle again.
And you could end up losing your opportunity for a rebuild. Yeah. I'll just say it there, because a woman will only want to stick around and try for so long.
Yeah.
When a woman's checked out, it's very difficult to go back.
We've seen it once or twice at a clinic when a woman checks out, and when they've checked out, they've checked out. Yeah. So
that was another point. Yeah. Don't belittle the trigger.
And so when we talk about triggers, it's really important that your partner understands, recognises, sees, and leans into you. When people go, what does lean in mean? make themselves available. Okay?
Don't turn your back.
Don't turn your back. Don't abandon your wife again like you've done before. Okay? And this is really, I think, when women say, how do I overcome triggers? The first and most vital part is having a conversation and saying, right, I'm having triggers. It's really hurting me.
You don't even have to use the word trigger. No. You could very, very black and white explain that something specific has bothered you because of the affair, because of what's happened. I don't feel comfortable going to this place anymore. I actually don't like the way that you wear that t-shirt because I know that you wore it before.
Aftershave, and the triggers are like getting ready. If the man, I think I put it in triggers, like when he gets ready to go out.
Yeah. And actually, speaking it into conversation kind of takes the power away from it.
Yeah. Do
you not think?
I think it takes the power of it. But
I don't like the fact that you wear that aftershave anymore. Yeah. So you have the conversation, you switch your aftershave, and it's done. It doesn't control you anymore.
What I think personally is the key is communication.
Yeah.
Because the reason why you've got into this situation already, not the wife, but more so the man, is lack of communication, lack of emotional connection. Lack of emotional connection happens because of lack of communication. And I think one of the biggest key areas that I know when we've worked with relationships and the most successful ones we've worked with, where they have rebuilt and repair, communication becomes an art. And so when we talk about communication being an art, it's the woman being able to feel open and honest about her triggers or things that happen.
There's nothing that's off limits.
A man will be able to understand, see, predict, and become very transparent and vulnerable. Again, men, this is really important that you become vulnerable, okay? Instead of being defensive, actually saying to her, I understand where you're coming from, and talking about it. Communication is the biggest thing. Now, if you feel, and this is a red flag, I think, from a man, okay? Because I get a lot of messages, and a lot of messages are, he won't talk about it, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. If you're still having triggers after 3 months of him saying, I want to rebuild and repair, there's something wrong. Okay, and what I mean by that is, you can still have triggers for 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years, even 3 years. The triggers get more sporadic. But if you're not feeling safe and secure 3 to 6 months in of having triggers, he's not doing his part. He's not taking ownership. He's probably either playing the victim or he just doesn't care. Okay, and what I mean by doesn't care, he doesn't want to do the hard work of taking himself into an uncomfortable situation to realise why he's done what he's done. Because when triggers start, they're hard, they're raw, they're savage, and it's new to him. So you're trying to work it all out, and this is why we say come and talk to us. Because
and let's rewind our situation. After post therapy for you, you were very hesitant to want to listen to my triggers, if you remember, and because you'd work so hard in your therapy sessions to work through things. You'd come home, we'd have a conversation, I might offload something, and your fear was, I don't want to go back to that place again.
It's not a nice feeling.
I'm getting myself out of this place, and I'm changing, and I'm becoming a better person. Please don't take me back there. And that's a fear from what I feel was your side. And occasionally, in the interim period, I did feel a bit shut down. I felt guilty for not wanting to take you back there, so I would keep quiet about it.
And really, the reality was, looking back and when we discussed it and moved forward and we went for couples counselling, the reality was, I needed to do the work even more. Okay, my wife and your partner, if you're watching this and you're the victim, you should be able to bring up the triggers, the pain in a safe way, and your partner should see it and help you through it. That's the reality.
And what I will say is, although the conversation about the trigger can feel counterproductive in the sense that you feel like it's taking you back to that place, every time you have those conversations, you establish that connection, that emotional vulnerability. It takes you a step forward. As much as it doesn't feel like it in the moment. And I remember actually having that conversation with you. You kept saying, but do we need to keep going back to it? I don't know if it's helpful. And I said to you, I'm not actually talking about this because I feel like it's making us go backwards. I feel every time we have these moments of connection where we can talk about it honestly, authentically, without either of us being upset or being triggered. I feel like it took us that bit
more forward,
that bit closer to real emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
So please don't be afraid of having those difficult conversations about the triggers, because ultimately when you learn to have conversations about them, number one, they don't have the same power that they used to have over you.
Yes.
And number two, it does bring you closer together.
Also, there's a lot of alsos, isn't there? Also, it's a big topic, this is.
You're being very flamboyant tonight, aren't you? Ooh la la.
All the ladies, all the single ladies.
Your legs very sweaty as well.
Is it? Thank you.
It's very hot in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, we're not used to it. And we're not equipped.
We don't have AC.
No, we're not equipped. But we're coming to America, aren't we? Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
So, I've lost my train of thought.
And something else.
So, also, while you talk about healing and time, I think the biggest factor is men being consistent makes the triggers get easier. The more consistent you are in turning up for your wife, making her feel seen, safe and secure, the more vulnerable you are, having emotional connection, this is from the man, the more you're able to recognise and be consistent, the quicker your wife will feel safe, secure, overcome, leaning into you, becoming a team, feeling emotionally connected. All that plays a huge part then in making the triggers lessen. Okay? Now, 3.5 years on, my wife will every occasion get a trigger. I see it, I know it. If I don't, she'll tell me about it, and then I'll be like, cool, let's sit down, or let's do this, or whatever.
Sometimes they need attention. Sometimes something needs to change or happen because of the trigger. Sometimes I just need to feel it, process it, and move on.
Yeah. And so, do we say triggers ever go? Probably not. Now, the question will be, well, why would you want to live in a marriage like that? However, I would rather live in a marriage where we're transparent and better communicators because we've learned the art of communication. Also, I know how to make my wife feel safe, seen and secure. Most marriages without infidelity
don't have that.
Don't know how to make their wife feel safe, seen, secure. Yeah. Without infidelity, don't know how to make their wife emotionally connected or become emotionally connected with their wife.
So to all the people,
infidelity.
So to all the people who say, I would rather just go and make an effort and find somebody who's not hurt me and not done this and not done that. And what I would say to that is, number one, no relationship you ever find will ever be without flaws.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as perfection. You can get as close to it as you possibly can, but no one's ever going to have perfection. And number two, in terms of what it is that you're actually fighting for and wanting to have real authenticity and transparency, like you said, most relationships without infidelity don't even have that. I know and always knew, and you probably do as well, the people that are wanting to rebuild, that your relationship was capable of that.
Yep.
And I really don't see how there could be a criticism of wanting to completely unpick everything that had gone wrong in the relationship and fix it.
Yep.
And the people that feel so bitter and hateful towards people who are trying to rebuild, I just want to say this. It takes a lot more strength to sit and work at something than it does just to walk away. Because you never know in terms of who your next person is. Everybody comes with some kind of baggage, let's be honest. And I'm not trying to make any passes and say that there's ever any excuse for infidelity. There isn't. If I was saying that, we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing. There's never an excuse for it. But because I think, and I will speak on behalf of both of us,
and the experiences we've had with other couples as well,
we have the courage and the integrity to actually say, look, this happened in our relationship. You did mess up. Things did go south, but actually you own it. We're doing everything we can to fix it. And you know what? The result of that is now we have a united family that's now unbreakable.
Yeah.
Our daughter sees her mum and dad together, happy, loving each other. What a legacy to leave for your kids. So there's never any shame in wanting to forgive. No. And there's been a lot of people, if you go on our socials this week, that will try and tell you otherwise.
You've gone back to that again, so you're really passionate about this, aren't you?
Well, I think it can derail people, and I don't like that. People can be trying really hard at their relationship, and to have one or two people who feel sour about because their man didn't want to work on their relationship, or their man chose the AP, or whatever reason they're feeling salty about the situation, it can derail people, and I'm not here for that.
And so I really think it's important that while social media is a great platform for us to share our story, guys, sometimes it's probably best just to reach out to us personally, join our Q&A. Of
course, we appreciate the questions and comments on the post. That's what they're there for. Yeah, we can take it on the chin. Yeah. I just don't like when people are in a very vulnerable part of their rebuilding stage, and you've got other people chiming in with
got Tara from somewhere saying
their uninvited, unsolicited comments. Yeah. I just think if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't comment.
Social media for it.
Yeah.
However, guys, so
we'll round it off.
Yeah. Guys, there are our views on triggers, okay? And I want to give you 3 pointers to recap, okay? Number one.
You like a recap at the end.
I like a recap, and I want to give you some tools to take away.
Yeah.
Number one, you need to have conversations with your partner, okay, about your triggers, being open and honest. Number two, from the man's point of view, you have to start letting your wife share her triggers and then make her feel safe and secure and see. Okay, if you're not wanting your wife to explore her triggers with you, you're not wanting to rebuild. You're just saying it, but you're not living the actions to do that. That's number two. And number three, the more you are as the perpetrator, the person that caused the affair, the more you become the new version of you. Okay, the stronger leader you need to be, the person that wants to have emotional connection, the less her triggers become. Okay, they're my 3 things for you. This is After the Wreckage podcast. I'm Nathan Ross.
I'm Melissa Ross.
And guys, if you have any comments, please put them in the links in the comment section below. Please like, please subscribe, please share. And most of all, guys, if you're not quite sure how we can help you, go to my standstill, which is the link at the bottom in the description. Click that, and we've got everything that we offer to help you guys rebuild and repair. Until next time, see you soon.
Bye-bye.